Welcome to Greystone Capital Group, where we invite you to embark on an extraordinary journey towards a life of abundance and fulfillment. At Greystone Capital Group, we specialize in the transformative power of passive investing in commercial real estate. Your journey to financial freedom and a fulfilled life begins right here. Subscribe now and let Greystone Capital Group be your guide to shaping a brighter tomorrow.
Okay, today we have a special guest. We have Dennis on the show, and Dennis has a background on triple nets. He's a mentor, and very happy having him on my show, Dennis.
Hey, Jonathan, thank you so much. Blessed and honored to be here with you today. Really appreciate the invitation to be here with you today, and definitely talk more about the triple net sector.
Yeah. So tell us a little about your background, how you get started in commercial real estate.
Yeah, funny story is, I don't know if you know much about this, but my background is in sports. So I grew up playing sports. I was blessed to earn a full ride scholarship to college. After college, went through some hard times, but I was able to then play professional football for about 12 years. And so through that journey, obviously you can only play for so long, right? I always was like, what should I be doing after my career ends? I've got a family, I've got young children. I want to make sure that I'm continuing to do something that's lucrative and taking care of my family. I've always wanted to build generational wealth. And obviously, you know, everybody hears that generational wealth is built through real estate, but I didn't really know what that meant. And one of my best friends who played for the Green Bay Packers in the NFL, we were working out in the gym one day, and one of my off seasons, I wasn't getting any calls for my next contract. And I'm like, man, I gotta figure something else out if I don't get signed this year. I was blessed to sign that year, but that day in the gym, my friend Trevor, he was like, hey man, I think you'd be amazing in real estate. You should get into real estate. And he was just talking about selling homes. He said, you're such a people person. I think if you get into this, you'll make a lot of money. And I was like, oh yeah, you know, I don't know. You know, us stubborn athletes were like, yeah, sounds cool. But
Yeah.
you know, he actually forced me, he Zelled me the money. He said, hey, look, this is how much it costs. Go sign up right now. Like, I believe in you. And I was like, all right, man, like if you're gonna force me into it, you twisted my arm. So I signed up for my real estate classes that night, screenshot it to him, sent it to him, said, look, I'm doing it. If you think I'm gonna be good at it, I trust you, because you know he's like a brother to me. And so 3 months later, had my real estate license, and I was in the middle of a season, but I also was just looking in California, in the Bay Area where I live. I was looking for opportunities on my off season to start really getting into the field. And so my wife and I were looking, and there was like a Craigslist ad that just kept popping up, and it was like, hey, come work in my mansion and learn about real estate. We're offering salary plus commissions. I was like, oh, this sounds great, but it kind of looked like a fake ad. So we put in my resume. At the time, my resume was only, hey, I've only played I've played quarterback professionally for I think at the time 8 years now. That was literally my only thing on the resume. So you know, it was like I got amazing management skills. I know how to rally a group. I know how to manage people, you know, all these great attributes that playing quarterback professionally bring to my lifestyle. And so this guy hit me back instantly, and he was like, hey man, you really play professional football and you know you're a quarterback? I was like, yeah. He was like, man, I got to bring you in for an interview. Like, if you can do that, you're going to be able to crush it in my industry. And I was like, okay, sounds great. So I went for the interview. When I got back home, we sat down for like 30 minutes, talked about everything. And he specialized in triple net. So that's how I first got into any kind of real estate. He only did drugstores and dialysis centers. So think about CVS's, think about Walgreens, Rite Aids at the time were still okay. And then we got DaVita Dialysis and Fresenius's. So we focused just on those triple nets. When I came back home, he hired me right away. In the first 30 days, it was just like baptism by fire. He's like, hey, I'm half retired. I'm trying to move to Hawaii. I need someone to come in here and really just take it all on. And so being a quarterback professionally, I'm used to that environment. Like, hey, come in. We brought you in on a Tuesday. You need to know the playbook and play on Saturday, right?
Hmm.
So like I'm used to learning extremely quick like that. So he threw me in. I learned a lot in those first 30 days, and then he just sent me off to do it everything. And he went to Hawaii. Now,
Okay.
I was obviously consistently talking with him and asking him, and he mentored me through a lot of stuff. But the first 3 months, he was just like, "Wow, you're making a killing it," and I just dove right in. I was just like, "Wow, like I love this." I was so mind blown by what triple nets actually are. I remember when I
Yeah.
first learned about it, I was like, "There's no possible way that this is a thing."
Yeah, I
And
know.
so, um, so I kind of just made it a mission of mine to just teach everybody. But at that time, like I was such a rookie in the industry that nobody really cared what I was saying. All friends,
Right.
family, like, yeah, you just started, you don't know anything. Typical, right? And so that's okay. For the next 2 years, I always say that I made that guy a lot of money because even though I closed a lot of deals, I was only getting a certain percentage of that,
Yeah,
right?
a small cut out of it. Yeah.
Right. So I made him a lot of money. And I was talking to my wife. I was like, man, I think I can step off and do this on my own. So we did. We started our own company, Havrilla Commercial Investment Group. We have our own brokerage. Um, and so that first year, I realized quick, it takes a lot to be able to generate your own business, right? And be able to generate actually closing deals on your own. And I closed probably about 4 deals in my first year, which was great. And in commercial real estate, I mean, as a broker, that's still okay money, even in California.
Mhm.
But I was like, I know I could do so much more. And so I did, and I grew and I could continue to grow. And, that's really how I got my start. But when I went off on my own, I really learned every sector of commercial real estate because I didn't want to be just a one-trick pony.
Good.
And so, um, I really learned the intricacies of, office, of multifamily, of industrial, of retail, and just all of it so
Hmm.
that I can actually be a good brokerage owner and then have specialties and agents underneath me. Hey, you're going to be my multifamily guy. You're going to be my office guy. And so a lot of people don't realize when they hear commercial real estate, there is so many sectors, right?
Hmm. Right.
We're selling. I've got 2 churches listed right now, right?
Yeah.
Most people won't even think twice about like, oh yeah, church is commercial real estate, but that's a specialty. And so, what are we doing with those guys? We're helping them exchange into triple net deals, right? So most of the time when I'm selling any other property type rather than triple nets, it's to help my clients exchange into a triple net,
I
and
see.
we can
I
dive
see.
deeper into that and why it's so beneficial.
Hmm.
And it all comes down to the investor and what they're really looking for
Hmm.
within their portfolio.
Hmm. And I think I like triple net because of kind of safety. I think if it's absolute triple net, then you really don't pay anything. If it's triple net, a roof and a structure, you don't pay those two things, which is a lot less worry.
Yeah.
So and if it's a corporate tenant, then you're stable for a certain amount of years and you're locked in, and it's the rate is escalation is there. That's why I like getting a triple net myself. So that's why I like triple net as well. Being come from multifamily and self storage, I was like, hey, I want to get some triple net as well. But for you, what do you like about triple net? Why you love the asset class?
Yeah, I mean, if you really dive into it and you understand it, I mean, you can find, and there's a ton of them. I source these deals all the time, but you can really find a true and absolute triple net where the landlord has literally zero landlord responsibilities. That's what's so intriguing to me. I'm a family man. I love spending time with my wife. I love spending time with my children. So for me, triple nets allowed me to not have to think about all these other things and just enjoy my time with my children.
Right.
So, if we compare apples to apples, let's say a single family home investment or a multifamily home investment, there's so many things that you might get a phone call for, right? Well, in
Yes.
triple nets, you don't get a phone call. And like you said, what I specialize in is corporately guaranteed leases that these corporations are on the hook for 10, 15, 25 years sometimes,
Yes.
right? CBS signs 25-year leases. So imagine for the next 25 years, you don't have to worry about nothing. You know exactly what's coming in. It's a
Yes.
huge corporation like CBS who's really monopolizing that industry in the drugstore sector.
Hmm.
You know, so when I say absolute triple net, even like you said, some do still make the landlord responsible for roof and structure, but the
Yes.
ones that I specialize in and help my investors with, you literally have zero landlord responsibilities. So
Hmm.
that means the tenant is paying your rent, they're paying for uh, the insurance premiums. They're paying for the maintenance and
The
repairs at the
taxes.
building.
Yeah.
They're paying for the roof and structure, the parking lot. And then my personal favorite is they also pay the property tax,
Right.
right? So you don't even have to pay your property tax. And a lot of real estate investors, what I've seen is they're so focused on the ROI instead of the NOI. And
Hmm.
what's the difference? So ROI is return on investment. But what they're not seeing is the full underwrite you still have to take out for possibly property management fees, any repairs and maintenance, any property tax. So multifamily, for example, all those things you have to pay for. If you manage it yourself, that's a lot of stress.
That's a lot of stress. Yeah, I
If,
seen that. I've done that. Yes.
if you pay a property manager to do that, well, you're still going to get a phone call from the managers to be able to like get the updates, understand where you're spending your money, if repairs come, if these tenants are breaking something in the units, you still are responsible
Hmm.
from that ROI. Property
Yes.
tax comes out of that ROI.
Yes.
Now in triple nets, we only talk about the NOI, the net operating income. Why? Because that rent that you're collecting from the tenant is literally what you're taking home because the tenant is responsible for everything else we just listed. So you're
Right.
not having to
Right.
spend no money on what you're collecting from that tenant, which
Right.
me is like, what is that's actually possible? And I'm here to say, yes, it is actually possible. And there's deals that I'm getting. I mean, I probably get 30 new deals a day in my inbox,
That's
and it all
great.
depends on the price point. So,
Yeah,
so
and for
new
me, I'm in
deal.
Texas. You have any deal in Texas? Send it my way. I live in Dallas area, so. But what I'm saying is, but there's a trade-off, right, Dennis? The
Hmm.
trade-off is your value add multifamily where you can get probably higher exits when you
Hmm.
sell it and you value add it. But the trade-off in triple net is stable, it's boring, but it's a lower cash on cash and more lower, right? Lower price point effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to again, if you compare apples to apples, it all depends. If
Hmm.
you have the right strategies in place, you could actually make better exits in triple nets. The value is really in the length of the lease,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So in commercial real estate, in any commercial real estate, this is the difference between residential and commercial. I teach people all the time is in residential, if that's an investment property and it's vacant, or if there's somebody paying you rent, it's worth exactly the same. That neighborhood is telling you how much it's worth.
Okay.
In commercial, if you have an income producing property, it's worth so much more than if it's a vacant property, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so then you dive a little deeper into that. The length and the strength of the tenant really like helps you understand the value of it,
Hmm.
right? And so,
Right. Right.
if
But
go ahead.
so Dennis, let's say in case of Walgreens or CVS, let's say you have a 20-year lease, but let's say in 5 years they renew it and there's much higher rental increase with option to increase. Now, is there a risk because he might leave a single tenant, or how do you feel about that? Like a Walgreens, how do you feel about that in your situation?
Yeah, I mean, that let's say they sign a 20-year lease, and this is another reason I really love this. Their corporation is guaranteeing it. So let's say in 5 years that location isn't doing well, and they're like, we need to move. Well,
Yeah.
they're still on the hook for 15 years, and they're gonna guarantee they're paying it. So you see vacant buildings all the time, and maybe used to be a CVS, they're still paying for those 15 years. Now,
Right.
what you can do, and here's a strategy that I've talked to and actually have done. It was actually a Chase Bank that we did this with. So, let's say going back to the CVS, CVS has 15 years. Let's say they owe you, I don't know, let's call it $8 million still for those 15 years.
Hmm.
Let's say you have a Dollar Tree or somebody come in that wants another corporation that wants that building.
Yeah.
You can then go to CVS and say, "Hey CVS, you owe me 8 million for these 15 years. Why don't you go ahead and just give me 6 million now and I'll let you off the hook?"
Hmm.
Well, the CVS has an option. Sure, we'll take that and they'll hand you $6 million. Or no, we're just going to keep paying, so you're still getting your rent regardless. And they're
Okay.
still on the hook for all the triple nets. The flip side is you take that 6 million that they just offered you, you put the new tenant in, you have
Yeah.
$6 million. If anybody asks for TIs, you can still spend. Let's call it TIs is tenant allowance for the audience who doesn't understand that. So most corporations will come in and say, hey, I need an allowance. Let's say it's $1 million. Let's say, Walgreens wants it now. Okay, Walgreens, they want $1 million. They're going to build it out into a Walgreens themselves. We reimburse them $1 million. We're still up $5 million.
Yeah.
And Walgreens is now paying exactly what CVS was paying. So you really didn't lose any money. You gained $5 million from doing it that way.
I see.
So
Okay.
still low risk in that
Mhm.
way. And that's why I focus on corporately guarantees or strong franchisees that if they leave that location, they can still make their rent payments regardless.
Okay. Okay. So that's your key. Your key is the lease and the details in the devil, because it could
Yeah.
be absolute or it could be like double net. And what is double net versus triple net? So my audience understand.
Yeah, double net is what you mentioned earlier. So you would still, the landlord would still be on the hook for like roof and structure,
Okay.
or maybe it's property tax, but there's one of those expenses that is then put back on the landlord. So I don't like to lead my investors that way. A big thing that I also like to point out to investors out there is we just went through a global pandemic.
Yeah.
We just went through a global shutdown.
Yeah.
Anybody that owned any other type of real estate besides triple net essential businesses were not getting rent.
Okay.
But triple net corporations that were allowed to stay open, like grocery stores, fast food restaurants, which we call QSRs, um, automobile stores, these are essential businesses.
Mm-hmm.
O'Reilly's, Advanced Auto Parts, um, McDonald's, Burger King, Safeway is what's out here, Vons, there's it's called Publix grocery stores.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, all these guys were still open. Even Brookstone, I think Brookstone's big out there. That's a grocery store out in Texas.
Okay.
So even these guys were still open paying the landlord's rent. And so even in a global shutdown, this is, like you called it, a low risk, safe bet they're signing for 10 plus years.
Right. Right. And
Right.
what kind of cash and cash you seeing like in those absolute triple? So the triple net means you cover everything, property tax and roof. And
Yeah.
so
And you're saving.
what do you see? But what are you
Uh,
seeing, like cash and cash, like first few years or something?
yeah. So, if you're cashing out for deals, I mean, I can see all the way up to 6 to 7% returns with these type of tenants. Now, cash on cash returns, and if you're leveraging, you're only putting down, let's say 30% on these properties, your cash on cash return could go up to 10 to 12%. I've seen on a CVS deal. I just did a deal last year. The cash on cash return was 12.8%.
Really? That's amazing. We need those deals. So you see those deals, send them
Absolutely.
my way. Yeah. Thank you.
And then, when it comes to value adds, and it's good to have a great broker and someone like me who's worked in the sector for a while. And I'm not saying to work with me. I mean, I would love to help more and more people, but someone that has connections to these retailers. I have a lot of connections because I've done a lot of deals with these type of retailers. I'm getting
Yeah.
ready to sell a Dutch Bros and Kitty Academy. It's opening up next month. Dutch Bros, I have a huge relationship with,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So someone like myself can call these tenants and say, hey, tell me about this location. Are you looking to extend? Are you looking to stay there? Do you guys love it there? Gear the court conversation. What I'm great at is being able to extract information out of
Mm-hmm.
these tenants, and they just
Right.
vomit out information to me.
Yeah, which is
And
surprising, right? Because normally they don't do that. If you want to sell, get a maximum price.
yeah.
So
So, it's these guys are just tenants. So if you have good relationships and you can have these conversations, I can help out investors. And it's a
right,
win-win. I'm not trying to get over on the tenants. I just
right,
really want to know, instead of asking the question, hey, will you guys stay there? They know the game, so they're not gonna just straight up say, yeah, buy it. You got somebody that wants to buy the place,
yeah.
right? So
But let me ask you, do you do seller financing or no? Anyone does that or no these days?
yeah,
They
absolutely.
do.
There's
All right.
there's seller finance. I mean, everybody's situation is different, right? So there might
Mhm.
be sellers out there that are just like, hey, I really got to get out of here and I need little bit of cash. I'll do seller finance and it's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
So there are opportunities. They're rare, but they're out there just like anywhere.
Okay.
They're rare, right?
Right.
But
They're
they
like
are
a
out there.
unicorn. Yeah. Yeah.
And
But let
so,
me, yeah.
oh, go
So let
ahead.
me,
Go ahead.
yeah, let me ask you, Danny. So yeah, so great. And I know it's stability and it's amazing how you can get like high return because I've been seeing some that I looked at, it was like very low and I wasn't happy with it. So
Hmm.
I told him I'll pass on the triple net because it's kind of low return because of the all these debt and everything. So
Right.
I think it's good if you do the 1031 into it, if you sell something and
Absolutely.
put it in yourself, and that makes sense. So,
Absolutely. And that's
mhm,
where I focus a lot of my clients on is when they're exchanging maybe out of a single family home or a multifamily.
mhm,
The one thing I did want to touch on is value add, for instance. So I was
yeah,
saying, if you have these relationships with these tenants,
yeah,
let's say there's a CVS with like 3 years left on it.
okay,
Now they're going to sell it for a higher cap rate because the owner might not have a relationship and they're like, well, I got to exit out of it and go find something with a longer term lease.
yeah,
We don't know if CVS is going to stay. Well, I'm going to call CVS and I'm literally doing this right now. Calling CVS, hey CVS, let's talk about this location. And we have our conversation. I find out they love the location. It's one of their top tier locations. There's 3 years left on it. So, hey, Mr. Investor, you can pick this up at a 10 cap right now. CVS deal at a 10 cap. As soon as we do a lease renewal and get 10 plus years on it, maybe even 20, we could turn around and sell that at a 5.5, 6 cap.
yeah,
And you just added a ton of value by a simple lease negotiation. Or obviously you have all that equity built in the building where you could pull that equity out and then go purchase another one or do whatever it
okay,
is that you want. But there are strategic ways to add value and really make some good money off triple nets as well, while
okay,
also having the security of a corporation paying you.
right. And how strong are you with Walgreens? Are you a good relationship with Walgreens?
Yeah, I've done some deals with Walgreens right now. Absolutely.
Okay, because there's one I'm looking at. I'm gonna see what location. Now I'm not even sure, but yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
So, like I said, I mean, my first 2 years, all I did was drugstores. So I talked
okay.
to the head of real estate at CVS, at Walgreens.
I wanna
I
get your opinion after this, and I'll show you something. You give me your opinion on something I'm looking at.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely love to.
Great, great. So I guess the difference is in multifamily, which I've done many multifamilies.
Hmm.
Basically, you can buy one at maybe 70, 80%. You can take a bridge loan or something, temporary loan to value add it, spend money on rehab. So everything, there's no triple net, nothing. Everything's your cost.
I
From
know.
the roof to the property tax to whatever, your toilet, you got to fix everything. That's all your own cost. So you need a lot of reserves.
Right.
And the reason why like triple net is because it's not risk. Because if it's triple net, there's no risk. If that thing breaks down, it's not your fault. The toilet breaks down, the
Exactly.
roof cracks, and then it's not your fault. So they have to pay the corporation has to pay the money to fix it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I've said that many times. Like my son, for instance, has a baseball game later on today. So if I'm at the baseball game and I own a single family or multifamily and someone's toilet breaks, the last thing I want to do is interrupt my son's baseball game and take a call because the toilet broke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's why I love owning triple nets because um, triple nets really allow you your freedom
Okay.
not to have to take those phone calls.
Yeah.
Because I say it all the time, a triple net has a built-in property manager, right? So for instance, Starbucks
Mm-hmm.
wants to keep their properties nice, their maintenance nice, their landscaping nice, the building nice, the plumbing nice. They want to do that to attract more customers,
Right.
right? You ever walk into a Starbucks and it looks trashy? Probably not.
Yeah.
But they're taking care of that. They're adding tasks to their already employees to make sure it stays nice. Now, if anything does break, they call the vendors themselves to come and fix it. The plumber, they call themselves. They don't have to call me. They don't have to call
Yeah.
you. They do
Yeah.
it themselves and they get it fixed right away.
Okay.
And that's why these corporations sign these deals is because they don't want to have to call a landlord and wait for them to fix something at their building. They want the control and they'd rather just pay for all the expenses themselves to have that control.
Okay.
Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So that's great. That's why I'm gonna get more into triple net versus other stuff. I'm still doing multifamily, but I'm trying to get more into triple net stuff.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
So your mentorship. Tell me what do you in your coaching? What do you mentor? What do you offer in your mentorship program?
Yeah, I mean, I actually teach, I've got a couple different tiers that I teach, mentorship with, I'm actually writing a book. I'm getting ready to publish that pretty soon on triple nets.
Yeah.
That probably should be done by next week if all goes well. But we just published a book. And so I also offer an 8-week course where you can just come in, be mentored by me to ask all the questions of triple nets, how to source them, what's the difference between everything. So we do an 8-week course or a full year mentorship where you also get that 8-week course and you get my mentorship to just walk you through deals, each and every deal that you want to do. Because obviously when you do something new, you're going to have questions. So you want to have a good mentor that's done this, that's in this industry nonstop every day. I'm not just a triple net owner myself, but I still do transactional brokerage work too for my clients. So
Right.
when I do have clients, I walk them through the whole thing,
Right.
or
Good.
just teach them the course, and they can go out and try to do it on their own.
Right. Great. Awesome. So how people could reach out to you, Dennis, on your course and mentorship?
Yeah, absolutely. I usually suggest my Instagram is probably the best way to get a hold of me. Um, my team is usually checking my DMs often, so you can always send us a DM on my Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best and quickest way to get a hold of me, right this moment.
Can you spell out or say your Instagram, the
Yeah,
name
my
or
Instagram
anything?
handle is D, like my first name, Dennis. So it's
Yep.
D Havrilla, the number 4. And I'm sure we can put that down in the comments
Yeah.
or the
Just
podcast
I
there.
put it in the show notes if you can reach out to your I guess your email and your Instagram handles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. We'll get all that in the show notes there. But
Hmm.
D Havrilla number 4. So my last name
Hmm.
is Havrilla. And if you look me up, I'm sure I've been told that I'm on Wikipedia. So I do have a background in football and I've done amazing things, but I focus more now on the triple nets. I was just published. Um, on Yahoo Finance, Benzinga, MSN. So, doing some amazing things in the triple net sector here. My company, my brokerage just announced a nationwide expansion. So, yeah, we're doing a lot of great things. And honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I'm very genuine when I say this. I love to serve people and I love to help people put them on the right track. I seen a statistic not too long ago. It said there's 56 million millionaires. 56 million millionaires. But that's the smallest percentage of the amount of people that are out there. And it's like, why
Right.
can't you be the next one? But you just got to learn the knowledge and have a mentor to get you there.
Right. Right. Totally agree. My audience, you need a mentor. Like I was told by mentor in multifamily, and you need
Hmm.
someone who will guide you because it's kind of scary. Your first deal, you don't know what to do, so don't make the mistakes. So you minimize your mistakes. You want emotional support, mental support, and then how to do transactional support, right? A physical, go out there, do DD.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Dennis is a great guy for triple net. That's his specialty, and you can always reach out to him. And he has a 8-week course and a 12 months program. And you can reach out to his. We'll have his information on the show notes, and you can reach out to him as well. So, what's your best advice, I guess, for you, for anyone who's looking to commercial real estate? Would you say just get a mentor, or what's your advice? If you went back 20 years ago or something, what would you say to yourself?
Yeah, I wish I did learn this knowledge a long time ago. And um, I would say my best advice is, don't think that you know it all. Mentorship is amazing. Mentorship is amazing. And if you invest into mentorship, it's going to help you save so much time in your life, right? People always talk about time is money, but if I told you, Jonathan, hey, here's $5 million, but you're gonna have to give me 5 years of your life, right? You're probably gonna be like, yeah, right. Right. So
Hmm.
time isn't really money. Investment in mentorship helps you propel forward. I call it accelerated knowledge, right? It
Hmm.
helps you save time, right? Time isn't money in the sense of like, I can just buy your time. It's more in the sense of, let me save you time to get to where you want to in a lot quicker fashion. Like
Right.
that's more important to me, and to people I work with is I went through the hardships. I had to learn and build from the ground up. Um, and so I went through all of that in order to help mentor people to propel and get there a lot faster. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you did as well, right? So
Yes.
it's when you're investing in mentorship, you're really saving yourself time
Yeah.
rather than
Okay.
just paying somebody a mentorship.
Right. So I think it's like you're investing in yourself knowledge so you can accelerate and be more successful, and you could do different ones to learn different things to help you grow. It could be a life coach, it could be a triple net, it could be multifamily. You all have
Yeah.
expertise in different verticals. You just got, we'll see what you want and go with those verticals.
Yeah. And if I'm being honest, I mean, I don't say that I'm a life coach, but I do help people through just mindset shifts and understanding things in life.
Hmm.
Uh, I do a lot of just inspirational talks with people too, because being a professional athlete, I learned so many disciplines in life, and I was able to take everything I learned from my professional athletic career, and then apply it to every aspect of my life, being a husband, being a father, being a
Hmm.
businessman. Like I have
Right.
all of these disciplines, but I make sure that I'm being the best husband possible. I work hard every single day to put that smile on my wife's face. Not because she's hard to please, but because I have the disciplines to stay true to my consistent action as a husband. Same
Yeah.
with my kids. My kids get 20 minutes a day with me no matter what. It
Yeah.
might be more, but it's never less. And
Yeah.
that's something consistent they will always get from their father,
Yeah.
right? Same with my business. I have certain hours slotted out to really be disciplined to accomplish tasks in my business every single day. And a
Yes.
lot of
Yes.
people, it's really hard for them to stay consistent. It's easy to just say, oh, yeah, be consistent, but like to really put the action behind it. And
It's
that's,
hard.
something I help as well mentor within my program. It's not just, oh, learn triple nets.
Right, right. So it's a holistic program where you go from mindset, which is really the first step to can you start limiting belief, your mindset, and then
Yeah,
to holding your hand to what is the operational techniques and all that stuff like that, and how you would buy a
absolutely.
deal.
And it's a proven
Awesome.
formula that allowed me to generate over $10 million a year and give me my time back to spend with
Hmm.
my children. So,
Yes,
it
yes.
is a proven formula that we've used time and time again with not only myself, but also, other investors that I've helped.
Great, great. Well, thank you, Dennis, for coming on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I appreciate all your advice and also your future students. Help them grow and be a better professional and be able to reach financial freedom.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on today. I look forward to hearing from everybody, and it was such an honor to just be here with you today, Jonathan. Thank you so much.